All right, this is video number 3 of this series. Last time we talked about doing some doors on the house. Let's go ahead and talk about doing windows now. So I'm going to share my screen and show you the basic way to do windows. So with the doors we did, it's pretty simple. We're going to do something very similar for the windows. The biggest thing though is when you make a window, you want to try to be consistent with the height, especially. That way it looks good. You're not going to want just random windows all over the place. So let's go ahead and start with some windows on this bay window area right here. So let me get rid of some of these guidelines, because guidelines again get in the way and just end up getting really confusing later when you've got 20 million lines. Okay, so first thing I want to do is decide how big I want the window to be, and also decide kind of what I want the height of my windows to be throughout the whole house. So I'm going to come down about a foot from the ceiling for all my windows, and that'll make it nice for this. So I'm going to come down a foot for this, and then I'm going to come away from the wall. I'm going to come over, I don't know, for now, let's just go 6 inches away from that wall. And I'll do the same thing over here. I'll come over 6 inches from this part. And then up from the floor, kind of depends if it's a second story place, you're going to want to make sure you come up about 2 feet. That way people don't fall out of your windows if they open them. So I'll just come up 2 feet for this. So now I've got my basic window right here. So I would come in with my rectangle tool and just connect the dots. Now again, it's really important to use measurement lines. It makes it so everything works the way you want it to and everything's measured out the right way instead of just eyeballing things. Now I could do it where it's the same height as my door, but I don't want to do it for this, or do that for this one. So we'll do the same thing over on the other side. I'll just match what I did. So I came in 6 inches this way, and I'll come over from here, just dragging the parallel line from this part right here. And sometimes it's a little tricky, like right now I'm actually pulling on the green axis, so it's pulling out instead of being on the wall. So I want it to be on the wall. So I need to make sure that it's pulling the direction, not on the green axis. So I'll type in 6, and then I'm coming up 2 feet from here, and down from the ceiling, I'm going to come down a foot. And always typing the different things. Now, I'm going to go back to my rectangle tool, which is R, and I'm going to draw in my window here. So I now have my 2 different windows. Next thing I want to do is add some trim to it. I'm going to do trim the same size as this. Now there's 2 ways that you could do window. You could do trim on the inside of the window, or you can do trim on the outside of the window. I like to have kind of a decorative look, so kind of like a craftsman style house. So I'll do the trim on the outside of the window just to give it a nicer look. But if you want to do the trim on the inside of the window, you can do the same thing I'm doing, just pull in instead of out with the offset tool. So next thing I'm going to do is get the offset tool again, and I'm going to pull out here, and I'm going to type in 4 inches because that's what I've been doing my trim as. And I'll do the same thing over here, drag it out, and type in 4. Okay, so now we've got a couple windows for this part. So next thing you need to do is to make the window so it's actually transparent. I'm going to get my push-pull tool, and I'm going to push this through. Now, when I push it through, when it says on face, that means it's going to cut a hole into the wall. So similar to what we did with our door the other day, I'm going to open that up right there so that I can see into the house. And then what I'll do later is I'll come back in and put in some glass. And the way I do that is just by drawing a line to remind this that it's solid again. So I'll do the same thing here again. I'll hit P for push-pull tool. I'll push until it says on face, and then I'll get my line tool, L, and reconnect that to let it know that it's solid. Now to do the glass, I'm just going to hit B for bucket, or over here. And I already have the glass in my home right here, which is nice. It remembers all the different colors that you use. So instead of having to go search for it over here, I just have it here available. So I'm going to paint that window and paint this window. Now it's time to use the push-pull tool, and I would pull out my trim 1 inch, and then I'm going to actually push my window in just a little bit further. I'm going to go in 1 inch from there. So here we're going to pull this out 1 inch, 1, and then return, and then I'll push this in for 1 inch. Okay, so now if you look at it, you can see into the house through the glass window. Now, something I could do if I wanted to is I could come in and add maybe like a window over the top of this, just to kind of give it a consistent look with the top of the trim and here. So more of a craftsman look. So I'm actually going to come in here with my measurement tool again. Actually, I'm going to get my push-pull tool. I'm going to push this back for now and match it with the wall where it says on face. That way, when I draw lines, I'm not going to be drawing lines coming from the 3-dimensional object. So let me show you what happens sometimes. Sometimes when it's pulled out like that, you think that you're grabbing, well, let me bring it back just a little bit. Let's say I'm out this far, and I get my line tool and I go to connect from here to here. And I'm actually like drawing through the wall, because you can see that line kind of sticks out here instead of being up against the actual face of the thing. So I like to use the push-pull tool and just flatten everything before, makes it a little bit easier. So anything that you do, if you can do it in 2 dimensions, it makes it easier to draw lines and things like that. So with that said, I've got this guideline right here that goes across there. That's going to be good because I want to mark this right here to match it with this over here. So, okay, so it's going to be, I'm going to come down 1 foot, and then the window itself is going to be, I'm going to have a 4-inch trim. So I'm just going to come up here and type in 4, and the window is just going to be little, and I'll have it just sitting right above there just to make it so it matches the top of this. And then my trim here will be up 4 inches so that it matches with the top of that one. So I'm getting a lot of guidelines, but you'll see in just a second what I mean with this. So I'm going to drag these over here, and then the window will be here, and then the trim will actually come in. Well, trim will match with this part of the trim. And now I'll get my rectangle tool and just start drawing in these lines. So first off, I'll draw the outside of the trim, and then I'll draw the inside where the window goes. Nice. Then with my push-pull tool again, I'm going to push this through until it says on face, and I'll draw back in the glass with my line tool, L. And now I'll get my bucket again, so B, and I'll paint that glass. And then now I can get my push-pull tool and pull everything out to where I want it to be. So I'm going to push this one in 1 inch, not 1 foot. I did it. I guess I did more than that. I just 1 inch. And then this I'll come out 1 inch. And then this I'll just double click and it will remember the last measurement that I did. So now I've got the trim that goes on the outside. We'll double click this one because it also has a 1 inch trim. So I think that looks a lot better than the height being so different with the windows. Okay, now what I can do is with my eraser, come in here and just erase a bunch of these lines because I've got a ton of lines right now that I can erase. Okay, so that's doing windows for this back section on my bay window. So next thing I want to do is I want to come in and do a window here on this section. So one thing I've got to remember is that my floor is up 2 feet. So you don't want to draw a window and then try to push it through because you'll run into the floor. And it also won't push through because you're running into the floor. So you got to make sure you remember that your floor is up 2 feet. So I'm actually going to come and draw a line at 2 feet just to remind myself that I have the floor from there. Okay, now my windows, I want to follow what I did over here as far as the size or the height goes. I want them to be 1 foot from the top of the ceiling. So I'm just going to be consistent with that. So I'll come in and type in 1 foot. And then I got to decide how big I want the windows to be. I'm going to actually do multiple windows here. So first thing I need to do is kind of figure out where the center is. So I'll click and drag this. And remember, I drag it along a line right here and it'll find the center with the highlighted light blue. Okay, then I'm going to decide how far I want my windows to be. Let's say I want my windows to be, we'll go 18 inches from the edge over here. And then I'm going to make it into, I could just do 2 windows, but I'm actually going to do 4. So I need to find kind of the center of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to draw in a line right here and here, just to help me with kind of laying this out. That way I can find the center of this. So I'm going to draw over from here to the center. That's going to snap to the center. I'll do the same over here. And then I want to come out about 3 inches from each side because I want to have a 6-inch gap in between these 2 windows. Well, I need to do the same thing here too. So, okay, so I want all the windows to have a 6-inch gap between them. So I'll go 3 from there, 3 from here. I'll come in and do the same thing this way, and it remembers my last measurement, which is nice. And I don't need 3 from there, but I do need 3 from here. Okay. So now I can start to draw in my windows. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create one window and then just copy and paste it in other places. So I'm going to come in and draw this in. That's going to be the same size for all these windows. And I'm going to do the trim. But this time I'm going to do the trim going in instead of out. So I'll click on the face, I'll hit my offset tool, and I'm going to come in my 4 inches this way. So now I've got that window. Now I want to take this window and copy it. So in order to copy something, I can, with the arrow, so the arrow key, which is spacebar, I can select multiple lines by holding Shift and clicking on the lines, and you can see that it's picking multiple lines. And I can include this right here. And if you want to unselect something, you can just click back on it again. So now I've picked all those lines. Now I'm going to do Command C or Control C on a PC. So Command C and then Command V to paste it. And since I have my guidelines all laid out, this works really well to be able to just place these windows where they go. Well, that wasn't right. Let me try that again here. We're going to go, well, something's wrong here. Let's see. Yeah, one of my guidelines is off. Let's just paste them real quick. So again, Command V to paste, and we'll just come in and paste these windows all along here. Might have to go back and fix something, but we'll see. This might work. Okay, so now I've got 4 windows. I want to see if I've got the right measurement in between, which it doesn't look like I do. So that's 6 inches. But from here to here is only 3. So I'm going to go back real quick. So Command Z to undo. And we'll see if we can figure out what the problem is with this window here. Okay. So from there to there is 6. So from here to here would be 4'3", which means that this area would need to be 4'3" as well. It's only 4 feet. So I did something in my measurements that isn't correct. So let me figure that out really quick. So I'm going to use my hand tool and just move things over, and we'll just see where the problem is. So from here to here is 4'3", 6 inches. Here to here is 4 feet. Okay. So I did something wrong with my measurement. So let me go back and fix that really quick. Sorry, make you wait here for just a second. Okay. So again, we're going to find the center of this, and then we're going to come out 3 inches and do the same thing over here. That way we have 6 inches in between. And Then I'm going to draw these windows in here real quick. Or just those boxes. Now I can find the center. Well, I know what I did. I measured from a different spot for the center, so I need to find the center of this window with the 6 inches in place. Okay, so now I'll come back and do this again. Find the center of that one. Come over, find the center of that one. We're going to, from this point, we're going to move out 3 inches that way and 3 inches this way. And let me just double check that my windows are all the same size now. So that's 4 foot 1 1/inch. This one's 4 foot 1 1/inch. That's good. Okay. So now we're going to come out 3 and 3. And I'll double check to make sure everything's the same size. Okay, perfect. All right, so now when I make this window, we'll do this again. And we use the offset tool, so F, and then pull in and type in my 4 inches. Now I'll come in and I'll copy this. And I should be able to just copy it with the face. Let's see what it turns out to do. So I'm going to do Command C and then Command V to paste. And look at that, it worked. And I'll do it again. To paste it, Command V and Command V. That's going to save me some time. So one thing though about copying and pasting, if I copy it here and then I try to put it over on this side, it's not going to work the way that I want it to because it's facing this direction. So what I like to do is if I want to copy these and paste them somewhere else, I can go ahead and do that, but I need to do it on the same face, the wall that's facing the same direction as these. Okay, now, and one thing too you can't really do is, once it's 3-dimensional, it's really hard to copy and paste, so I try to keep it 2D when I'm doing any copying and pasting, because otherwise you have other lines that are connected on the inside and you'll end up kind of goofing things up. So next thing I'm going to do is get my push-pull tool, and I'm going to push all these panes of glass in, and I can just double click once I've pushed it in once, and then I'll come in and I'll draw these lines back in. Slide my drawing over here again. Okay, now I'm going to get my paint bucket again, B, and it'll remember the last color I did, so I'm just going to come and paint all of these. And there I've got my basic windows. So if I wanted to do another window somewhere else, I could come over here and create some more windows. Now, if I wanted to use the same windows as I've done before, I could come off of here 18 inches like I did over there. And then I could start to paste these windows in. But it's actually a lot better if you have a guideline. So I'm going to have a guideline that goes from where the bottom of the window is going to be. And then I could start pasting this window here. Then in between I would need to have, well, and that didn't work for some reason. Oh, I must have pulled my line up from this guideline right here instead of the ground. So we'll try pulling up there and typing in 2 feet and seeing if that works better. Okay. Yeah, it's still off. I don't know what I did different. How high did I go over here? Okay, 2 feet. Anyway, that's 2 feet. Oh, I know why it's like that. I guess the top of the line right here is at the 1 foot mark. So how high did I go from here? So that's 1 foot from the top of the edge of that. Okay. And this is also 1 foot. So what I accidentally did is I pulled this line, or I followed this guideline right here, which actually references this wall right here instead of the actual wall there. So, all right. And then if I wanted to make it so it had the same spacing, I would just come and add a line that's 6 inches. And then I could paste it again, put it right there, do another line with my tape measure, which is T, pull that over 6 inches. Then I could just keep going and copying and pasting all along here until I was satisfied with how it looked. So that would work as well. And then I would get my push-pull tool again, push it through until it says on face. I can double click the other ones, get my line tool out, draw in, make this solid again, and then get my paint bucket and paint all these windows. Okay. And you can also go through and make it three-dimensional by using the push-pull tool, pulling it out an inch. All right, so that is the end of Windows. There's lots you can do, and lots of different custom sizes. It doesn't really matter how you make them. The biggest thing with Windows is if it's a bedroom, it has to be at least 3 foot by 3 foot, because that is code. In a bedroom, you have to have an escape route in case of a fire. So you need to make it at least 3 foot by 3 foot. The rest of Windows don't really have standards or rules, but the thing I like is to make sure that I'm consistent in the height of the window, just so it looks a little better in the room. Okay, so that's all for Windows. Next time I'll start talking about some of the other things. We'll start building the second level and doing the roof and those other things.